All right, so we're recording. Hey, Logan community. It's Ken. I'm the North Central Community Organizer, and I'm really excited to be taking part in this community discussion around gun violence. For some of you who don't know, right now we have the Soul Shots Portraits of Victims of Gun Violence up at the library. Due to the COVID-19, folk can't enter the building to see the portraits, but as soon as they're available, we'll be letting you know and inviting you all to come out and check out the portraits at the branch. But right now, I'm really excited to have Kimberly Kamara here with us. And we're going to be talking a little bit about her experience, her story with gun violence, and thinking around like community solutions, right? Because this got to end. This has to be done. But I'm gonna stop talking. Hi, Kimberly. Hello.
Hi, how are you? Hi,
I,
everyone.
yes, I'm great. And again, we've been so fortunate and lucky to have so many people willing to engage in this conversation. And so I just want to thank you so much for being one of those folk um, who are willing to share your story to hopefully touch someone and change someone's life.
Yes.
So, can you tell us a little bit about who you are and how you got involved with Soul Shots?
So, my name is Kimberly Kamara. I am the mother of a murdered victim named Kyrie Johnson-Tate, the founder of Never Ending E-Motions, aka NEEM, and also the writer of Where's My Daddy children's book. And unfortunately, I was inducted into this walk beginning July 4th, 2017, when my son was first shot, and July 5th, they pronounced him. He was also an organ donor, which he helped save 7 people's lives. So in my book, he is my hero. And of course, to the 7 other people's lives he saved. um, this gun violence, wow. Every time I hear of a gun going off, another murdered victim, I immediately cry. I cry because I think about the person, the family, and these fatherless children or mothers, uh, you know, because no one, no one thinks about that. It can happen to any one of us at any given day, any given time. But before you go out and even put your hand on a gun, think about how many lives you could damage by using that gun. I don't ever want to get that angry at anyone or that mad or whatever emotional roller coasters these people go on to ultimately change people's lives. They don't think about how one murder affects the first 50 people are your immediate family.
Mm.
Second 50 people are friends, people within the community. So each murdered victim has affected 100 people's lives. So you times that today by how many murdered people there are. That's deep.
No, that's deep, and um, I thank you so much for putting it that way, because I don't think people stop to think about like the circle, right, the village around these people who are tragically taken from us,
Mm-hmm.
right, and that it has this huge ripple effect outwards, um, that's destroying multiple people, right? Neighborhoods, community. Like, no, that was very deep. That was
Yeah. And I think about my grandson who won't remember his father's smell, his voice, his touch. He was 3 months at the time when his father was murdered. And as he grows up, he's going to ask so many questions. And we have pictures, we have videos. But that's not going to suffice what he has lost because he will never know his father for himself. His father wasn't there for his first talks, his first words, his first steps. When he came through my door, he was saying, Daddy, Daddy. It
Mm.
just brought tears to my eyes. And these are the things that people don't understand. And there's no justifiable reason to murder. And this has been plaguing our city for years. Um, but this year, I guess because I'm so into it more, this year it has really taken an emotional role for me. It's taken an emotional toll on me when they were the firecrackers all summer.
Mm.
How emotional that is for someone who has lost their loved one to murder. Each time you hear firecracker, um, it does something. And then when you hear a gunshot, it does something.
Mm.
Going to other people's funerals, I can't do it anymore because it just drags up memories. And I'm crying. I don't know who I'm crying for. So it's like, wow, like I had to take a step back.
Mhm.
So it is really the whole dynamics. I had my son for 23 years. So now these last 3 years have been learning to live without him. This year, I can honestly say I have just began to face reality that he's not coming through my doors anymore. I have not been able to give away his clothes because there's something still,
Mhm.
I still have a piece of him. Um, and I just figured, okay, I'll pick him. I have totes with his name on them. And when his son is old enough, I'll give him to his son. And, that these are things that I have to deal with. I have to deal with not seeing him on holidays, not celebrating his birthdays with him anymore. I don't want to celebrate July 4th anymore. Like, I don't like that holiday.
Yeah, I understand. I wouldn't like it either.
Yeah, so this is my reality. These are his siblings' realities. The effects that these gun violence has on a family. You develop illnesses. I been diagnosed with syncope. So it's basically I'll faint if I get over anxious, overwhelmed.
Mm.
I'll just drop. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is not normal.
Right.
There's no medication for it. Um, Marriages dissolve. People stop speaking to you because you left my name out of an obituary.
Mm.
um, or I wasn't on the front row or I didn't speak at the funeral. Like, people have to remember this is a traumatic shock to your system.
Mhm.
I know I was not in my right frame of mind, but I pushed, and I pushed. But where are the people that present these things to you? They're nowhere to be found after it's all said and done.
Mhm.
So I have a great support system. I'm also involved with Moms Bonded by Grief, where we meet now on Zoom once a week to just talk about what we're going through. We'll do arts and crafts. We'll have special speakers to help us ease our minds. I also work with the Obituary Project. I write a column for them every month about things that grieving mothers, families go through. Soul shots, I found out about soul shots through Moms Bonded by Grief. And I was able to come to a couple of the exhibits before Niam's portrait was done, and I was able to come to the ceremony when Niam's portrait was done. It brought tears to my eyes. It was a flood of emotions because when you walk in and see all these portraits of all these beautiful young ladies and men, it really is overwhelming, and you just can't believe someone thought so much of a person they don't know to do a portrait of your loved one. And that speaks volume with Soul Shots for linking us up as well as the artists. It's never enough thank yous. I look at his portrait every day and I just visualize of what he would be saying right now to me. Like, Mom, you drawing. Mom, Duke's chill. It's all right. I want you to take care of yourself. And that's how he talked to me. But there's never enough words to say thank you. And even doing this, you guys haven't given up, and y'all continue to help, especially with the unsolved murders. Y'all continue to still bring light into unsolved murder.
Well, I mean, we are happy to be here and to do that. And I just want to thank you for, you know, talking about like just the all of the different pieces when it comes to gun violence, right? Like we don't think around the lasting effects, right? Like
Exactly.
that trauma, it lasts beyond that incident, that moment, that month, right? That, you know, post-traumatic stress disorder is not just, I mean, for veterans, right? Like that exists for every people, for the trauma that we have to deal with, the things that we see and experience on a daily basis. Um, and so I want to thank you for highlighting that, for uplifting that, right? Because uh, you know, not only do these things ripple effect out into our communities, they actually ripple over time.
Yes.
And so I think it's important for us to be able for y'all who are watching, to understand that if you go out, if you make this decision to hurt someone else, that this moment is beyond just you and that person,
Mm-hmm.
beyond you and that moment, that it exists for decades. You know what I mean? Like it lasts forever. Right?
Yes.
Who come behind, the people who are left behind. Um, so yeah, thank you so much for sharing that and um, putting for putting voice to that. I really
Thank you.
enjoying that. Um, and so, as you said, you know, it's an epidemic. I was looking at some of the statistics around gun violence and what's been happening this year, and I think we're at the highest it's been in 30 years.
And it's climbing.
Right. Look, the year is not over. Today is December 1st. And so I know, so one of the things that we wanted to do at the library was host a vigil to end gun violence, and recognizing that some got to change, something has to be different.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, there's not one solution. There are many solutions that we have to figure out how to enact. But for you, and I know, and I definitely want to talk about all of the things that you're doing with your foundation. Um, uh, so I haven't read Where's My Daddy? Um, just if you could share a little bit around your foundation, your book, and maybe, you know, what do you think are some solutions that we could be enacting to deal with the violence that we're seeing in our communities?
So I think back on my childhood, and my parents were really active in my life. And we didn't have a chance. We did have a chance to act up. But guess what? Miss Joan would see you, Mr. Fred, and they'll call and tell on us. They might even snatch us up. And by the time we get home, mom is in that doorway waiting on you. I think that parents need to take over your homes again. It's okay to go in your children's room, again, your children's room, where you pay your mortgage or your rent, and go through their things. We also had a rule, if my parents didn't buy it, they need to know what's coming in and out their house. So you had to ask permission. Can Miss Such and Such gave me this? Is it okay to bring? So they knew what was coming in and out. And I again, look at the crowds of people that your children are with. If you and your kids are taking photos and y'all smiling, and your your boy or your girl has a gang sign up, figure it out. Find out what they into. It starts at home. We can't put all of it on outside people. We have to take ownership for home, for our children. That's number one. Number two, the gun laws need to be a lot stricter. There's no way that you should be able to go to a gun show and purchase a bunch of guns on any given day, out of town, in town, whatever. And that's what's happening. Young ladies, stop buying these guns for these guys. Stop putting your life on the line for these men or these young men. You are more than it. You don't want to be sitting up in a cell. I know I don't.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as the prosecution, the judges and all, it needs to be stricter laws around it. There's no way, they're saying the ballistics take a while to get back for the gun once they run the gun. That needs to be speeded up so that this person, like they allow a lot of people to post bail before these ballistics on the guns come back. That should be stopped. They need to sit there while they're checking these ballistics to see if it's a body on these guns, if it's been shot, what other crimes have they committed. That's my theory.
Mm-hmm.
And again, the community, we need to stop this no snitching mentality. If it was your family member, you would want answers. No one should have to beg and plead. You could be saving that next person from being murdered. You could be saving yourself from being murdered. And stop letting these people that commit these murders, because you know who they are, stay in your homes. Why would I want a known murderer in my house?
That's a good question. That is.
At any time, I can piss them off or her off, and they could kill me. What stopped them before? So we really need to stop and check ourselves. And when they bust in your houses, you're just as guilty as that person that committed the crime. And they can hold you accountable. And if conspiracy, that holds a nice hefty weight as well. You can spend years in jail just because you had a conversation. So people are not educated. especially these teenagers. They figure I'm gonna give, little John some money for a lookout. You're conspirating.
Mm.
You may not get a stiff as as an adult, a stiff penalty as an for when a child. You'll be sent to juvie, but why would you want to? Why would you put yourself in that predicament? And we also need to educate. Like, I push education in my home. All my children are high school graduates. All my children have college.
All right now.
A lot of people don't. A lot of people can't read past the fourth grade. And it's a problem. They don't know how to go to the library. They don't know nothing about the Dewey Decimal System.
No, no, you are.
They don't know nothing about an encyclopedia. And it's a shame. But they know about a cell phone and Google. And there's something else. If we need to go back to old fashioned having dinner with our families because we're so divided. They don't know who their family are. They put money, as the young boys say, they put money on my man's head, and it could be your cousin. You'll never know because guess what? You were too busy. The family is so divided. So if we take it back to old school, I think it would be a change and having structure.
Mm. No, that's real. I remember Mr. Johnson was our block captain, and he always told on us.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Johnson always told
Get
his
on your
grandchildren.
nerves. Look, get on your
Look,
nerves.
as a child, Mr. Johnson, I ain't like you, but now I probably am Mr. Johnson,
Uh-huh.
right? Because I appreciate uh, the idea of the village, right? Like, I've worked with young people since I was 19, and understood that it's not just parents, right? Like we all got a hand in raising these children as they're coming up, and that's a part of like our responsibility to the community.
Exactly.
And how do we and holding that and understanding that if I see one of the young people I work with doing something they ain't got no business doing, I'm finna walk up on you and be like, yeah,
Exactly.
what you think you doing? You ain't in school. I'm I'm
And that's the other thing too. They're supposed to be doing the cyber school.
mm,
I can go around the corner at the gas station. I bet you I'll see at least 5 teenagers. They need these parents need to be fined. Like it needs to be a wake up call. Act as if you're still in school.
no. I mean, me and my friends, you know, we have conversations around like what could we be doing to be supporting young people right now who are not in school. We know that online learning is hard. Um,
Mm-hmm.
even for us, as an adult working from home and being on a laptop, it's hard.
It's hard, yeah.
But I also think, I think what you're talking to is some of these root causes to gun violence, right? Like some of the deeper issues that, folk may not necessarily connect to gun violence, but it's a connection, right?
Absolutely.
Um, education and education being a tool to get out the hood to actually get to a place where you can afford to make money, right? So then you're not worrying about a gun because you're worrying about getting that paycheck and going to work, and you're not concerned around poverty, right? Like and for me, right, when I think about gun violence, all of those things play a factor, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Some of the young men that are outside right now, their first thought growing up was not to be on the corner. They probably wanted to be a doctor, an astronaut. Uh,
Yeah.
and along the way, life circumstances hit, and then you're like, well, you got to make bread because I got to eat, right? Or you're trying to figure out how to support your mom or your dad to pay the light bill, pay the rent of the room.
But that's the problem right there. They're kids. Why should a child have to worry about where their next meal is coming from?
Agreed.
Why should a child have to worry about there's no lights, there's no heat? As parents, it's our problem. And we need to stop. We need to stop it. Get up, get a job, get yourself together. And I know it's not as easy as it is for some, but come on. Like, come on. There is a lot. And that's why I said restructure your home. Stop being your child's friends. If they have a job at a certain, at a certain age, 16, 17, they should pay for like their prom or the things that they want, not a bill in your house. Now, once they graduate school and all that, yes, because now you're an adult, you're stepping into adulthood, but you're still under my roof, so the rules still apply.
No, absolutely. I hear that. My mom was the same way.
Mm-hmm.
My mom was absolutely the same way. Um, but I also, on the other side, right, like I also understand that circumstances are hard. That you know, in this country, we have generations of people who can't read, can't
Yeah.
write. Our education system sucks. And many people, right, that system has failed so many people, right, and continues to fail people. And so I think for me, when I think about it, right, it's like I understand that parents are the ones who are taking these things on. I also understand that there are moments of parents, unfortunately, the parents had their children when they was babies. Um,
Yeah.
and so babies are raising babies and so together and uh, there's so many cycles.
And this is why, like, now they've created so many community support groups around those teenage mothers and those teenage fathers. Even if you were on drugs and you're getting yourself together, the different NAs, they have the so many different chapters under it for each family member. So it's so much help out here than I can say when I was a child to assist you with getting your life back together, back on track. And I've I've never been addicted to anything, but I've always worked in that field. So I know it's so many different resources. It's up to the person now. And I've always told like my mom and close family members, if for any reason you feel as though I'm doing wrong by my kids, by all means, take them from me until I get my life together. I gave them permission because I've always wanted more for my kids. When I was younger, I went through the public school system. Yes, my parents could have put me in Catholic or whatever, but they chose not to. As a mother, I wanted my kids in Catholic school. At the time, I couldn't afford it. So there was a children's scholarship fund. So I was able to keep my kids in a small setting and put them through private and Catholic school. So a lot, like I said, it's so many different resources. And the Children's Scholarship Fund is still in existence today. And they will help you. And each Catholic school and private school has their own scholarship fund set up to help more parents because they want the schools diversified.
Mm-hmm.
And they want to keep their enrollment up. So I never forget, my kids went to Mercy Vocational High School, and I didn't know how I was going to pay it. And I was just like, okay, both of y'all in here, what am I going to do? They both got scholarships. And guess what? I was cool.
No, absolutely. And I hear that, right? Like I definitely hear that some of this is absolutely around personal responsibility and the need to get up, get out, and find resources. You're right. There are lots of resources out in the world. Some are harder to find than others.
Mm-hmm.
But you're right. Some of them are there. But I think sometimes it's also hard finding resources. I've watched people struggle to find them. I've been connected to resources. Um, but I think ultimately, right, I think the goal uh, really is breaking the cycles that
Yeah.
conditions for gun violence to happen. Uh, and I think, sharing, and you shared some resources, and then you actually are a resource. So do you want to talk a little bit about it's the NEEM Foundation?
Yeah. So Never Ending E-Motions, aka NEEM. That my grandmother actually started it with having family gatherings, and she actually sent my cousin to college. And my cousin came back from college and went to pay her. My grandmother was like, no, that was your gift. So that was planted years ago. So as I gotten older and was talking to different family members and all, I was like, oh, I want to do that. One day, I just want to do that. So my mom, she carried on that tradition. She sent a young man to school. He got kicked out of his house of his senior year. So she made sure he got to school, had spending money and so forth, sent him on prom. That seed was planted. So a combo. So we named it Never Ending Emotions because when a loved one dies, and it's for anybody who's ever died, your emotions never end. And it was the acronym for NEEM, which we used to call my son NEEM. Um, so we developed a Facebook group and where you can feel free to post pictures, talk about your loved ones when you're feeling down, when you're feeling excited, whatever your feelings are that day. We support you. Nobody says, oh, you shouldn't feel like that. No,
Mm-hmm.
we support you. We also do the prom giveaway where we dress a senior from head to toe, whether it's male or female. And we were bombed out this year because of Corona, so we couldn't do our prom giveaway. And the only qualification is that you have to be a 12th grader, you have to be graduating, and you have to be open to ideas.
Mm-hmm.
And we make sure you look beautiful for your prom. And we do a complete from head to toe. Your hair, your gown, your suit, your shoes, your
All right.
nails, everything.
All right. All right.
And we videotape and all. And we
Yeah.
ask you to write a letter about gun violence, how it affected you.
Mm.
Yeah. And last year we did our first Blue Out Gala, which of course was Naeem's favorite color, blue. And everything was blue. And we just raised funds. That's how we raise our funds for the prom giveaway.
That is amazing.
Um, since Corona hit, again, we couldn't do it this year. A generous donor gave us money for a billboard, and it's located at the 6300 block of Germantown Avenue. It'll be there into, I think, next week. And it's, because Naeem's murder is still unsolved.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a big billboard of Naeem and a synopsis of what happened and who to contact.
Oh, that's great.
And we do have a fashion line. So we have our name sweatsuit
Okay.
in different colors, and they're on our website at www.kimberlykamara.com. We have masks, hoodies, they call them now. And we have our Where's My Daddy book and our Where's My Daddy coloring book.
Oh, that's great. I don't know if this book is in the library yet.
It was in one library, I want to say Edmonton.
Okay, so that's different from Philly. So
No, not Edmonton, Andorra.
oh, Andorra. Okay, that's Philly.
It's Andorra, and we're now trying to get in all the libraries.
Okay,
and this is it right here.
Yes,
it's kid friendly. It was written for my grandson, and basically we use Kyrie. He goes out in the community asking, "Where's my daddy?"
Okay, all right, that is great.
So I will donate a couple books to the Logan Library.
Oh, that's amazing. Oh, that is beautiful. Yes. Oh, and actually, maybe, and you know what, we should definitely talk about this offline. You know, once Corona is over.
Yes.
Maybe we can have you come out and do a story time.
Oh, absolutely. And this book, when I wrote it, I was, of course, in my feelings, and you'll have so many sleepless nights. And I sat up and wrote it. And then my little cousin, he's an illustrator.
Mm-hmm.
So he brought the book to life. And the children love it, even the adults. And I never thought it would touch adults the way it do, as well as the children. One lady said her grandson won't put the book down. He just reads it and reads it. And I don't know how to feel. I really haven't put a feeling with how I feel.
Mm-hmm. That's fair.
So I'm just like, wow. I'm still in my wow stages about it.
I understand that.
And a lot of conversations have been brought up. I found out one young lady her father was murdered in the 70s, and she never knew his birthday.
Mm.
And I'm like, wow, that was deep.
Mm-hmm. That was very deep.
So these are the traumas that families live with and deal with, that the killer doesn't know it even exists. They don't even fathom it.
Mm-hmm. So I don't want to keep you all day, but I'm enjoying the conversation. But if there's one thing you wanted, our audience to take away from this, what would that be?
Put the guns down. Love one another. And if you can't, you don't have to deal with that person.
Mm-hmm. That is the perfect way to end this. It is. Kimberly, I just want to thank you so much for being open and willing to have this conversation and being so sincere. And I'm so happy we had this opportunity to uplift Niam, his story, the fact that he is a lifesaver, literally has saved.
Yes.
And so I'm so excited that we were able to do that and that we're able to have this conversation. And I can't thank you enough. You are amazing. The work that you're doing is amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
And I can't wait to see you and give you your books. I'm just so I feel so helpless. Like, I just want to hug you right now.
We hugging through the computer. Hug through the computer.
And you interview amazingly. It was easy talking to you.
Thank you so much. All right.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.